If you've ever tried to learn a language that genders its words, then I'm about to blow your mind. Since discovering this, my entire understanding of how language works has changed. So if you've ever tried to learn a language with gendered words, you've probably thought a bit about how that gender influences our thinking. For me, this was definitely the case because I learned German with English as my first language. So I ended up thinking a lot about how gender might influence the way we think about the world. If I grow up with German as my first language and I learn that the key is masculine, am I more likely to think that keys are masculine? And how would that be different from someone who first learns Spanish and they learn that the key is feminine? And then I thought all of my questions were answered when my language teacher gave us an article about exactly this topic. And the most impactful part of the article was a study that they referenced. In the study, German and Spanish speakers were asked to describe different words that had different genders. For example, the key is feminine in Spanish, but it's masculine in German. And German speakers used words like hard, heavy, and jagged to describe the key. But Spanish speakers chose more feminine words like tiny, intricate, and golden. This study was so compelling and seemed to show exactly how we think about gender and language. And people reference it all the time in language learning blogs and even psychology articles. It's actually even quite likely that you've heard of this idea before if you've tried to learn a language with gender. But guess what? It's actually fake! I originally wanted to share this study with you guys because I remembered learning this in language school and thought it was interesting. But I'm a medical student, so before I start sharing information on a platform, I'm gonna look for the primary source. And that's exactly what I tried to do for this study. And while it was referenced on so many different platforms, I couldn't find the actual study. And I couldn't find the actual study because it's never even been published. People like to talk about the findings, but the raw data is nowhere to be found. And even worse is the fact that so many people have tried to recreate this study and have failed. This is basically fraud. And stuff like this happens so much more than it should within all forms of research. Even within published research, there is a huge risk that your findings are still false. This can be as mild as simple mistakes or